Hi, you're watching South Coast Fishing. Today we're going to have a look at the infamous pulley rig. Okay, so I've made a very small version. Normally you want this at least 2, 3, 4 times as long as this. So I've just done it this size so it will fit into the frame of the camera. Okay, so first of all we have the weight, and the weight connects onto the lead clip here, and you need one of these lead clips that's got the little hook down there on the bottom. Hopefully you should be able to make that out of the camera, but we'll have a closer look in a minute. So then we have line. Now ideally you want your line to be 10 times the number of your weight. So if you're casting a 4-ounce weight, ideally you want at least 40 pounds line. This is actually 50 pounds line, so you know, as long as you're not absolutely smashing it out there with all your might, then you know you should be okay putting a 5-ounce lead on here. If not, obviously up the line strength to 60 or 80. Next we have a bead here, and that protects the knot onto the lead clip, and the reason why is at some point this will come all the way down to here, and you don't want that smashing and destroying the knot, because if that knot fails then you lose everything else. And then the same principle up this end, we want another bead here, so that protects that knot, which then goes onto a swivel. And ideally you want a decent sized swivel, not a minuscule thing, something, you know, fairly hefty. The bigger the better really. And then from that we have another length of line. I've used the same again, 50 pound line, and that comes down to your hook. Now normally what you would have here is some form of bait stop, because on this rig the bait will tend to go up the shank of the hook and this way. So I've left a decent long tag end on there just for this explanation. But ideally what you would do is you'd have a bead or a sequin here, and then one of those sliding line grip stops, so you can just stop it from coming up. Okay, so the principle of this working is this swivel bead here, that connects to your main line. You put your bait on, and once your bait is on, you then hook the hook into the little bait grip there, and then you cast out like this, and that just basically makes it a very streamlined launch, and it'll fly through the air like this. When it hits the water, the weight will push up, and this is lying down, so it's probably not going to do it very well. It will then release the hook from that little tag, and then ideally when you pull your line tight, it will be like this, and then your hook length there will be flapping around in the tide. Okay, and then so when Mr. Fish comes along, he will grab the bait, get himself on the hook, and then what he'll do is, obviously your fish is going to weigh more than 4 ounces hopefully. He will pull on the line, and he will lift the weight up and off the seabed, and as you reel in, then you're reeling this in, you'll bring in the fish on the hook, and obviously the weight is up off the floor, so you've got less chance of getting the weight snagged on the seabed. The other option is, if you're not going to use a standard weight, if you're going to use a grip lead or another type of weight that has an impact release system on, you can use that as well. So the pressure of the water will come up these grooves, push that up, and actually flick your hook off. That is a better option, because sometimes these don't release very well, especially if the line manages to twist round. So same principle again, cast in through the air, hits the water pushes up, and I've hooked it on the wrong one. The water pushes up and that releases the hook like so. Now, what you can do is, if I just grab my other demonstration one, so here's a full length one, and this one has been made with grey line instead of clear line. So what I've done here is, here's the weight end, and here's the swivel. Now, I saw a top tip that obviously when you've cast it out and you've got your weight on and that's released and it's now at the bottom on the seabed, if you've got that tight there, if you place 3 beads here between the pulley swivel, the pulley bead, and the actual swivel there, then what that will do is that will keep your hook length away from the main rig body, so there's less chance of having that tangle up. Also, it acts as a kind of boom, so it pushes it away as well. So that's why I said the bigger the swivel, the better, but also if you can put a few beads here as well, once you've cast it out, that's in the water, and then you just reel in and you've got your line tight, whether you're using a normal lead or a grip lead, that will force these to come out sideways and keep your hook away. And also, as I was saying earlier, what I've got there is I've got a bead on the end of the hook length and one of those sliding stops, so you can bring your worm further up the line, and then when you cast out, obviously gravitational forces or perpendicular forces, whichever one you want to go with, the worm will be forced up the line. So if you thread your worm on, and then you can always adjust this down to the point where you don't want it to go any further up the line. But as I said, keeping a little bit of a longer tag end on that hook there, that will also help as a kind of bait grip as well. So that's it. That is the mighty and the humble pulley rig. Very, very simple to make. Most, well, if not all, tackle shops should have all the equipment you need to make these. The other thing you can do is if you can't get any of these pulley beads, you can just use a normal swivel if you want to do it that way. But there we go. That's it there on the bait clip. Or if we push that back down, if you've got a weight that's got the impact release system on, then you can do it that way as well. Now, as you can see, this is a normal pen, so that's about 10-20 centimeters. Obviously, you want to have it like 3 or 4 times the length of that at least. And also, choose your hook wisely for the type of fish you're going to be looking for. So this is a size 2.0 Aberdeen. So ideally I'd use this for flounder and bass. If you're going to be going for larger fish such as rays or full-size cod, then obviously go 3.0, 4.0. And if you're going to go for slightly smaller species, but you're just making this pulley system so you can get more distance out, then obviously go down in size. But the principle is the same pretty much. So yeah, lead grip with the bait grip, a bead, a pulley bead, another bead. Like I said earlier, put 3 beads there if you want to have that extended out a bit further, so these 2 lines don't entangle with each other mid-flight. A medium to large swivel, and then obviously your hook length here, this needs to be shorter than your weight length, because if not, it won't actually stay in place, it will be too long. And then as you come down to the hook, ideally you want to have one of these line grips, a bead, which is used mainly as a bait stop, and leave a slightly longer tag end on there to help keep the bait on the hook as well. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share this video with everybody that you know that's into fishing, and we'll see you all in the next one.